What is going on, guys? Just wanted to bring you guys a funny little video here. And I just want to say, fuck your money. We don't care about your money. We want our money. This is one of the downfalls to business. Everybody just wants to take their money out. And they don't care about your money. They don't care if it puts you out of business. They don't care what the repercussions are. They just want their money. They just want their money. Give us our money. Give us our money. We don't care about your money. We just want our money. Why am I saying that Asian voice? I don't know. It just sounds more funny that way. Takes a little bit of the blunt edge of the life of business. But it's such a true statement. I'll say especially in our automation company. Dude, it is brutal. And this is why I'm diving so hard into the properties, is because it's just a lot easier. I mean, everybody wants their money. Oh, wrong pencil. Everybody wants their money. You're not getting away from all these companies wanting their money. However, like depending on the type of companies that you're working with, like for example, like if it's a properties company and you're dealing with vendors, they can be understanding and more willing to work with you and maybe help work through payment terms, or willing to negotiate payment terms in the very beginning of the contract or whatever project or whatever it may be. I'm gonna just sit down for a second so I'm not walking. I do a lot of walking and talking. But yeah, there'll be more negotiation. There's more room for negotiation to be able to discuss things. And hey, if you guys want this project, boop, 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 like we're trying to cash flow this thing, like, and so you have optionality like that. Whenever it comes to like the automation company, we're dealing with big corporate companies, and they can literally give a shit less. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of tired of the automation industry. In the manufacturing industry, because everybody just like I said, they just want their money, right? And let me go back. So, and with that being said, like we'll deal with issues where like we deliver a project on time. This is an actual real world example. We delivered a project on time, did all the execution. Our customer had financial issues. They literally sent out a letter, a formal letterhead with their company name on it. Hey, we're having financial issues, blah, blah, blah things. And then decided not to pay us for like 9 months, $1 million. And then after all that, after diddling us off with all that money for 9 months, came back and said, oh, there's like issues with your work, blah, blah, blah things. Like made up this list, right, of all of these things that they're deducting for. And this list, this PowerPoint that they made out that had all these deductions there was like 15,000 here, 10,000 there, 20,000 there, 30,000 there, and like all these like things, and like just round numbers too. Not even like they really calculated it and said like this is the amount of hours we were down. We're charging $1,000 per hour or whatever it may be. Well, I guess if it was $1,000 an hour, it would be round numbers, but you'd think if you have like some run rate to like what it costs for your machine to be down or whatever it may be, that it's not around flat $1,000 an hour. It would be like $927, or it'd be $4,037, or some number, not some just arbitrary number that you just throw at it and say, oh, we're gonna charge $1,000 an hour, right? And so point being is they did this and they utilized this to just like dick us off on a bunch of money. And they ended up taking like $30,000 off the purchase order. Out of the $1 million they owed us, no, not 30,000, 300,000. My bad. They took off $300,000 off the purchase order, right? And then the way they dangle this over us is like, agree to this, and then we'll start paying the $1 million, or what was left, $700,000. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna pay you $700,000. And we'll start paying the $700,000 whenever you accept to take this $300,000 deduction. So again, owed us $1 million, said we're only going to pay you $700,000. We're not paying you for any money at all right now. until you accept that we're just going to diddle you in the butt and take $300,000. And then on top of that, the company's struggling, dying, like trying to get through, and you're at a point where you're like, you just have to accept it. If you're not in a financial strong point, and when we cash flowed this massive of a project, I mean, the total project was a $3 million project, and like some $3 million. And so, like, yeah, we cash flowed through a lot of that project and stuff like that. So then it put us in like a hard spot. And then, so, they kind of just know that they like have it over us or whatever. They don't know that they have it over us, but they're just like, look, either screw you or we're going to pay this amount of money, and then we can take it to court, and then we're going to jack off a bunch of money in lawyer fees and stuff like that. And so when you're doing corporate law, I mean, you easily get into, I mean, start off is $50,000 to start off. Like, if you have to actually keep going to litigation and doing different things, and also most of these companies do mitigation, which is different than litigation, so they can get out of like being legally in trouble by doing the mitigation, or I think it's mitigation, something like that. Basically, the point being is they settle outside of court. Like, it's not like formal like judgmental like law where they can like be prosecuted for like some criminal action, let's say. I guess you could try to pursue them for criminal action, but then most of the time it just reverts back to it being a civil matter. Just get redirected as a civil matter, whatever. But the point being is, people want to take that money. They want that money. They don't care about your money. Okay, so that's the point of it. Just kind of wanted to point that out. I wanted to mention it and bring it up. People just want their money, and that was just one example of it. And so you just got to be careful in like the industry that you're working in. You have to be knowledgeable that like this is something you got to deal with when it comes to business. It's like, again, it's a major challenge. Certain industries are way worse. Like I said, the manufacturing and automation industry, and specifically like automation companies, get dogged out. And also vendors of like automotive companies and stuff like that, they get dogged out. You have your Fords. Like, if people knew like what Ford and some of these companies did to some of their vendors, people probably wouldn't even drive these vehicles anymore. And honestly, we haven't done any work with Tesla, and I'm a huge fan of Tesla. And honestly, I'd be a little bit scared that we did work with Tesla and then come to find out like they're diddling people just as bad, because it's an industry standard, right? They're just diddling people off and they don't give a shit. They want their money and they don't care about yours. And so they do this to everybody. So we are specifically targeted as an automation company that builds custom automated manufacturing equipment, because they can just go on to the next guy. We'll diddle them off on $300,000. We'll diddle them off on this amount of money, and then they'll take it, and then we'll just move on to the next company, right? And most of automation companies are fairly small companies. There's like maybe 5 of them that are massive, that are providing custom automation. But generally, once automation companies reach a certain size, they stop being custom automation and they start being specific automation. And then once you have specific automation, it becomes a little bit more difficult for you to diddle them off. I'll give you another example of this. The same customer that diddled us tried to diddle Lincoln Electric. So a lot of people know who Lincoln Electric is, right? They build like welding power supplies and stuff like that, welding machines. Well, Lincoln Electric has a division called Lincoln Electric Automation. Okay, this same customer tried to do the same thing with Lincoln Electric Automation, and they bought some machines from them. They didn't pay for them. Blah 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 things. They had financial issues. Blah 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 whatever. Okay, Lincoln Electric said, "Hey, these other 6 machines that you bought? Guess what? You ain't getting them." and then guess what? They stuck. Now they're either going to pay that Lincoln Electric money or they're not. So when you become big enough, and so Lincoln Electric was providing robotic. They provide robotic welding cells, which is one of the things that we provide as well. Actually, we're direct competitors with Lincoln Electric Automation. We actually build systems that are very similar to their systems, but yeah, they basically, when the 2 big dogs got to fighting, because Lincoln Electric's a big, massive public company, and so whenever they got to fighting, then, basically the customer that diddled us off is like kind of like big bank, little bank, and the customer that is our customer had to basically bow down to them and give them their money, because the customer that diddled us was trying to diddle Lincoln Electric, and they didn't get away with it because Lincoln Electric was big enough to say, look, you're not getting these other 6 machines that you have back ordered, right? And so we would have been able to do the same thing too if we would have had other consecutive orders, and we did have consecutive orders. However, due to the slowdown in automotive, we had a couple of our purchase orders canceled. So we had other back-to-back orders with this customer, and they canceled the purchase orders due to like just the slowdown in the automotive market. And so we would have had that as leverage. So if they would have diddled us off on these other projects and wanted to not pay us that money, then we said, okay, cool. You know, this other one we have going on over here, you know, this other program you have for Ford, you can go talk to Ford and tell them why they ain't getting their system, you know. But yeah, thought I'd give you all the rundown on that and just kind of let you know a little bit of the behind the scenes of the business world. Yeah, and I'm actually over here at one of our properties right now. These videos don't generally do too good with the vertical video and being long form like this, but I figured I'd shoot it like this anyway. Screw it. 3 people watch it, and 3 people get value, and millions won't. So here we are. Hopefully this was well, not enjoyable, insightful. Hopefully this was insightful. Hopefully it helps you understand a little bit how the business world navigates, and be prepared for it if you're going to do anything in business. Know that industries are very different from one another. Again, the properties one's like a lot easier, and you know, don't get me wrong, things like that can still happen. You can still get diddled, but this is like a lot bigger scale in some industries, and they have a lot more weight in some industries. So yeah, here we are. Peace out, guys. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video.